it's comedy almost. Yeah. Este. Sí. And después, es mejor la mástil afuera y adentro la vela. So that's just another thing you can see. So Eva's actually seen this in operation before. But you know, look, all of this stuff, it's meant to be a life raft. And so I haven't even got started. So you're just trying to assemble the sail and all of this. You know, whilst inside the boat at sea, if it was an emergency. And if it was a storm, for example, you know, it's just a total waste of time. You'd be totally exhausted. So if you've got anybody inside the boat and you open this rear storage compartment, the boat inside just fills up with water, and then by the time you land on the beach, it's just double the weight of the boat.
Ella mira para aquel lado, ¿viste? No mira para acá. ¿Y ahora? No, ahora para, se mueve para atrás.
Yep, you got it. Eva, would you say it's easier to jump inside this or the normal tender?
The normal one.
Yeah. What's your feet?
The balance is terrible. I think just for one person is okay, but for choice is not good.
How would you find the whole experience with the dinghy?
Hard. I think it was hard because we are together. Actually, I think the dog is with us. And for sail, like you had to go down over this or the sail all the time. You want to move off direction.
Yeah. So when we're tacking.
Yeah, when we are tacking, and you had to like go down, move around, and change of position. And if we are two, it's very difficult because we are long and bigger. Cannot just move inside. And we have a solar light over here. I don't know where is the panel. We have a solar light now. The top fly in the water. I don't know where. But it's with torqeedo actually. Like it's not very covered for the water. It's not very safe.
How old is the dinghy?
It's new. It's small. So this morning we lose the rudder. We tried to find it, but I don't know where it's at. And without that, it's a little bit complicated to sail it. So all the base of kit is for nothing without the rudder. Cuando armamos la vela, when we put the sail up, we are tired already, and trying to do this, trying to row in the same time, it's very complicated with boat, and trying to have stability with the dinghy just is very complicated. Get stability, the sail in the same moment, and try to put the ropes in a comfortable place. Just it's not possible how all together working. Sorry for my English because my teacher is not putting too much attention in my classes. And so if we are without the sail, just with the rope is complicated. Yeah. And if we put the motor, the electric motor, can be working for 20 minutes. And we need for more time. Because maybe you can go, but maybe you cannot come back. So yeah, I don't know if that saves you or really is a problem to
there's
with
a
your life.
lot of things. I could spend honestly a day telling you of all the things that I dislike about the Portland Pudgy, but I think first of all, it's really expensive. Secondly, it does nothing well. It's not even a rowing boat well. It's not a dinghy well. I don't think it's stable. It's not even a fraction as stable as a rib. You know, this is going to exhaust you in a survival situation. These oars, look, they're annoying even talking now. One of the most obvious things that even, you know, you could see in the most obvious situation is if you wanted to use the navigation light and also use the sails, you can't do that. So all of this stuff is meant to be stored within the bulwarks of the dinghy. You can see it's a lot of stuff. So we have a drogue with all the line associated with it, all these bits and pieces. These covers, if you don't have them stored for ready for use, then the dinghy is not a life raft. So what they're expecting that you do, even though this is broken already, I don't think it's going to survive a survival situation, is that all of this is already installed and clipped on to the bow and the stern of the dinghy. And that means that even when you have a cover, at some point you're going to take the cover off and you have to use the dinghy with all this kit on it. Well, look what happens. I think the results explain themselves, right? So the mast is in two sections. The upper section, if Eva pans up, you can see this is the square top main. Bit pointless and a waste of money anyway to have got the slightly higher performance sail. But even the regular, I believe the regular sail is a gaff rig as well. And the two separate parts, it's just another thing to fall overboard if you're in an emergency scenario trying to deploy this sail. Because let's remember, this is meant to be a sailing life raft. That's the point why I bought it. And if you have the life raft bits installed, which is a cover over here, the sails installed, then you have to assemble all of this at sea. So remember, we're going to be assembling this at sea. So this is one of the oars. That's just going to drop over. Let's just see if it floats. Yeah, lucky, that bit floats. That floats. Good. Does this float? The oar locks. What do you think? Do you think the oar lock floats? Assembling the tiller and the rudder at sea. Now, the rudder, if I had it still, I've lost it, because all of these bits and pieces that aren't essentially part of the main kit are, they can all fall apart if you're in a storm being rolled about, more things to lose. But the attachment for the tiller and the rudder, where Elba's ass is, like, Elba, can you move out of the way a little bit, sweetheart? You can see these two little bits, you've got to stick a pole in those. And I found that difficult, you know, to fit the tiller. Even when I was in totally flat water in Golfito in Costa Rica, testing it out, trying to sail. It's just crazy. Like, I mean, trying to fit a tiller when you're in the storm conditions, when you're exhausted, or let's say when you're not in storm conditions, it was even tiring. Say you've just lost your ship, it's exhausting. So it's another thing that's going to leave you tired. So I definitely think if you're going to invest in one of these, you're going to have to think about a different option for the tiller and the rudder. The other thing is, with the tiller in place, look at the space that it takes up. So it would have been smarter to have the tiller in two sections, or just have a short tiller. One thing that I think is quite a useful piece of kit, although it looks messy at the moment, and I think you could probably steal this idea for other dinghies, particularly if you've got kids or somebody that's a little bit less mobile. On any dinghy, it would be quite useful that it's basically just a cargo strip, a cargo ladder for getting access to the dinghy from the water. Very useful on a stable, good dinghy. You could use that for if you've got diving kit on. So yeah, Albo's just showing you how that works. It's dirty and frustrating to assemble, but I have to say I quite like the quality of the sails that come with it. So this is Bayview rigging and sails. I have to say the quality looks pretty good. Unfortunately, the design of the mast and the boom's fine, I guess. It's fine for a little sailing dinghy, but for a life raft and something that's meant to be assembled at sea, the fact that you have the two separate parts, that heavy pole, well, the problem is if you want to beach this, and say you've got an outboard on as well, you've got that, and you're jumping up on the beach, this is just a nightmare to quickly release this, or it's not even held in place properly. And you can see one is bent, and that is bent against Eva's head because, for example, exactly that reason, the whole dinghy flipped and bent, and the whole dinghy flipped over on top of Eva's head, and it's actually heavier. This is heavier on its own, I would have thought, even without an engine, than the Highfield, and that's a 360 if Eva wants to show you and pan across a Highfield. So this is certified for 4 people, I think. Oh, look there, there's the certification. Now I'd really want to check out if it's certified for 4 people with the sails up, the oars in place, and all of those bits and pieces, and it's self-righting, and I'd love to see that test. I'd be very interested to see that one. This is my experience with the Portland Pudgy, and it's my opinion. Everybody can have differing opinions, but this is my opinion and my experience with it. I ordered an electric torqeedo engine with it, and my sentiment is pretty much the same. I don't think it's there yet. Not for me. Not for blue water sailing. For me. I'm not interested in the torqeedo. And if a friend asked me, should I buy one? I would say definitely not. And I'd say definitely not with a Portland Pudgy.